Hey guys, well, for anyone who either was or is still a fan of him, you're probably already aware by now that Doug Walker is bringing the Nostalgia Critic back next week, as a matter of fact, a week today. He did say what film he was going to be reviewing in the very first episode, but the name of the film escapes me at this particular moment in time. But anyway, that's not really what I want to talk about right now. I want to just sort of talk about this decision, just in general. When he decided to end the Nostalgia Critic back in August, I think it was, of 2012, I actually thought it was absolutely the right decision. In all honesty, I had not been enjoying most of the Nostalgia Critic episodes that had been posted in 2012. I really thought that a lot of the recurring gags were being very sort of forced in there. He didn't really have much to say about a lot of the films that he was reviewing, other than, just dropping the occasional one-liner in there, or just, nitpicking at little things in the film that he found were kind of odd, or kind of funny, or kind of silly. There wasn't really anything more to his reviews than that. They were all basically sort of the same thing, him just sort of making fun and nitpicking the film the whole time. There was nothing really unique about any of the episodes that he was doing for the most part in 2012. I was convinced, that this was going to be the end of it. So I figured, the Nostalgia Critic was going to maybe come back for a special episode, maybe like once a year or every 6 months or something, just to sort of keep, the fans satisfied. But I did not expect in a million years, first of all, for him to come back at all, and second, for him to come back this quickly. This is really shocking me. If this were anywhere close to April 1st, I would be convinced this was an April Fool, really, because this really does sort of shock me, really. This is really surprising that he's brought him back, and brought him back this quickly as well. And it does leave me sort of asking sort of three questions, I think. The first one being, was this the plan all along? Had he planned, to just sort of take a break from the Nostalgia Critic, for 6 months or so, and then bring him back? And I would say no. I can't see Doug doing that and not sort of letting his audience in on that's what he was doing, pretending that he was going to get rid of the Nostalgia Critic for good and then bringing him back abruptly after 6 months. I don't see that Doug, if he wanted to do something like that, he would have been honest with us and told us that what was going on. He might have said to us, the Nostalgia Critic is coming back at some point. He might not have been willing to say exactly when he was coming back, but I think he probably would have made it pretty clear that the Nostalgia Critic was coming back had this been planned. Some people have suggested that this is actually too quick for it not to be planned. The fact that he's brought him back this quickly, if anything, that for me suggests even more that this wasn't planned, because if it was planned, I think he would want to keep us in suspense for as long as possible. I don't think he would have brought him back this quickly if it were planned. So that sort of moves me on to the second question, which is why is he bringing him back? Now, the final episode of Demo Reel does sort of suggest that the reason he brought him back was basically because, he was feeling a bit uninspired, perhaps, by what he was writing in Demo Reel, wasn't really coming up with enough decent ideas, and he sort of wanted to bring him back because he maybe felt that most of the material he was coming up with, or most of the jokes he was thinking up, and maybe he was just watching a few bad films as well, and I don't know, maybe that sequence we see in the final episode of Demo Reel where he watches that film and decides he's going to do a Nostalgia Critic review. I don't know, maybe that's true actually. Maybe he genuinely did just randomly decide to watch that film once and think, yeah, if I was still doing the Nostalgia Critic, this would make a pretty good Nostalgia Critic review. That certainly would be, I think, the reason he would give if he would ever make a video sort of publicly explaining why he brought the Nostalgia Critic back. That's probably what he would say to us, but part of me also thinks that it's maybe two other things. The first being Demo Reel just basically failed. Demo Reel basically being like New Coke. He brought in this sort of difficult second album, and the fans basically were so sort of distraught and annoyed and butthurt about the idea of him ending the Nostalgia Critic that they just decided they were going to hate Demo Reel before they'd even seen it, really. In all honesty, the first two episodes of Demo Reel weren't very good, if I'm honest, really. I don't really sort of like this idea of just spoofing movies, and there are sort of other channels on YouTube that have done that much better. How It Should Have Ended being the best example, I think. But that idea has kind of worn off on me now. I've kind of gotten tired of that. I don't really watch How It Should Have Ended very much. Actually, I think there's a couple of other series on YouTube now. Honest Trailers and Everything Wrong With. Those two series I think are much more interesting in just sort of nitpicking at films. I think I find them a lot more entertaining. It is just basically the people saying everything that's wrong with the film, as opposed to how it should have ended, which is basically just sort of spoofing the movie or recreating the scenes of the film. It's a bit overkill, really, to actually recreate the entire film like that. I think that's going a bit too far. And Demo Reel was basically doing something which has been done by other people better, really, for the best part of like 4 or 5 years now, I think. So it's an old idea, and it's not something that I found particularly interesting anymore. But then when it came to the Blair Witch spoof, they changed it up a little bit, and it was no longer them making a spoof of a movie. It was actually the characters in Demo Reel experiencing the spoofs of the movie. They were no longer actually just recreating the film in the story. They actually were in the film, almost. They were in the sort of reenactment of the film, which is a much better idea. Actually having the characters really be involved in those situations, that was much more interesting, much better, I thought. The third and fourth episode, that was really enjoyable, I thought. I thought there was a lot of good jokes in that. And then he goes and cancelled it after the very next episode. So that's a shame, really. Demo Reel was just starting to get good. It was just starting to sort of show a little bit more potential with the... and then he goes and ends it. Now, to be fair, the final episode of Demo Reel was also really good. It's just disappointing that it's ended just as it had started to get good. But obviously, I think there's been a lot of demand from fans for him to bring back the Nostalgia Critic. And I kind of wonder if maybe part of him has just decided to give in to peer pressure. It's disappointing if that is the reason he's decided to bring him back, really, because I thought maybe Doug was a bit stronger than that and wasn't just going to give in to demand from fans like that. But I suppose it is difficult when you have such a large fan base, and they are essentially sort of the reason why you do this for a living, and why you have a decent amount of money, and why you're always attending cons, and why you're admired by so many people. That wouldn't be possible without the fans. So I guess in another way it kind of makes sense that he would want to do what the fans want him to do, but I think he would want to do what the majority of the fans want to do, what his most loyal fans want him to do. And I kind of think that the fans that have demanded him to bring back the Nostalgia Critic probably aren't his most loyal fans. But I think it's that and the fact that the feedback on Demo Reel has not been particularly good. But it only had 5 episodes. That's not really enough to be sort of sure about whether or not it's actually going to be a decent show. That you need at least sort of, I think, probably 10 episodes really to get any kind of decent idea about whether or not it was going to be any good, because they obviously had not finalised what direction they were going to take the show in. I'm going to have to resign to the fact that the Nostalgia Critic is back. Not 100% sure I like this decision. However, could it potentially be the right decision? I see a lot of reasons why it will be. First of all, he wouldn't have brought him back if he didn't already have a decent amount of episodes already planned out, I don't think. I think he probably does have a number of things that he feels like will make decent Nostalgia Critic material, and therefore I feel fairly confident that the first sort of 5, 6, 7 episodes are going to be decent episodes. It's also going to be every 2 weeks now instead of every week, and I was definitely starting to think, over the last year of the Nostalgia Critic, that what is really sort of forcing out these kind of really dead, dry episodes that are just sort of bleh, nothingness, is the fact that he's being forced to do this every week. He feels obligated to do one every week. So the fact now that he's decided, I don't have to do one every week. It's up to me how often I put these episodes out. I'll just do them every 2 weeks instead. So hopefully that will improve the quality of the episodes. It is definitely about quality, not quantity. In all honesty, I would say to Doug, don't even think you have to make a review every 2 weeks. Just make an episode when you feel like making an episode, and just get it out there when you can get it out there. I mean, the Angry Video Game Nerd wasn't making nerd episodes for months and months and months now, like close to a year, I think, and even now that he's come back, he's doing them. He's just putting them out there when they're done. He's taking his time over them. They're like probably one a month. He's not on any sort of schedule or anything. He's just putting them out there when they're done. And as a result, the 2 that he's done since he came back have actually been pretty good, I thought. I see a lot of reasons to think that this could ultimately end up paying off, because I'm very hopeful that the material that he produces now that he's come back is going to be a vast improvement on what he was doing just before he entered the series last year. But those are just sort of a few brief thoughts I have on Doug Walker bringing back the Nostalgia Critic. And I look forward to the first review next week. I'm not entirely sure this is the right decision, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing new Nostalgia Critic nonetheless. Okay guys, I will see you soon.